Hi guys, it's April and it's the end of the month, which means it's wrap-up time. The most exciting thing about January is that it is my booktube-versary. It actually straddles January 31st and February 1st. I originally published on January 31st. There was some issues with the file, so I ended up re-uploading on February 1st. So I consider both of them my booktube-versary, but I've been on booktube for 4 years. And to celebrate, I did book recommendations for the Nakeds. I will link the video down below and up above in case you want to go check those out and see the Nakeds because they are my life and I love them to death. Highly recommend it. And also for the month of January, we did our first Tell It Again live show. It was over on Shae's channel. It was a blast. I'm really excited to see what next month brings. We are going to be reading 96 Words for Love. I'm excited. It will be hosted on my channel this time, and that is the last Sunday of February, which is the 24th at 4 p.m. Central Time. I hope you guys can join us because we are just gonna be hoot and half because that's what we are. I will leave more information down below. If I talk about anything in this video, I can guarantee you that there's information down below because I like information and I like overloading people with information. So always check down below. Always. As for my stats for January, I started this new thing where I'm giving my stats with my wrap-up, and since this is only the last half of January, I did a mid-January wrap-up. So if you want to learn about the first 7 books of the month that I read, go check out that video. That's the video where I start doing these stats, and so I'm going to continue it on here. I'm going to do this half of the month stats and then a cumulative stats as well because I find it all very interesting. For the second half of January, I stayed on the trend of reading 7 books for 2 weeks. So I've read 7 additional books, which brings the whole total to 14 books in January. I think that's doing pretty good. I am on point for reaching my goal at the end of the year of 130 books. I'm good with that. I read 2,589 pages these last 2 weeks, which brings the total up to 4,944 pages total. Yay! I don't know why that number is exciting to me, but it is. Which means I read about 159 pages a day. It also equates to me reading about a book every 2 days. And I figure when I start doing things for next month, I will have the month total and the cumulative year total. There's gonna be a lot of numbers, which I think is gonna be cool. Yet at this point, it is time to start talking about books, because that's what you're here for. The first book I want to talk about is the Austen Escape by Katherine Reay. I needed a quick little escape, and this book looked like it was perfect for it. I know this book was in my trash, my TBR, but it kept on staring at me. And I think because I finally picked it up for that video, it was just in my brain. So I'm like, I need something that is just whimsical, that just takes me away for a while, and that's exactly what this book did. This is the story of Mary, who is an engineer, and her life isn't quite going the way she wants it to go. So her best friend Isabel drags her along across the world to a manor house in England where they just start reenacting all of the Austen things. This book is littered with Austen references. It has the cute little romance that mimic a lot of Austen's stories. I could tell you where this book was going from page 2, but I liked it anyways. Maybe because I kind of understood the main character, maybe because this book talks about Austen being an escape, using Austen as an escape from real life, and that's exactly what this book did for me. It hit me at just the right time. I really, really enjoyed it. The next book I want to talk about is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This was a book club book pick for me. I've been wanting to read this book for a while. This gave me an excuse to finally do it. I'm not a huge superhero fan, but I like the way that V.E. Schwab did this book. This is the story of Victor and Eli, who are college friends. It follows some of the things that happen in college and then present time where Victor and Eli aren't quite friends anymore. It involves superpowers and how you gain superpowers. This isn't necessarily about superheroes. It's about what humans are and what drives humans and what makes humans, and there's no good characters in this book. They're all very morally gray, which is good. It mimics real life in that way, and I think that's why I liked it the most. Plus, there were some characters in here that I truly loved. There are times where things started to happen that I wasn't okay with, but in the end, I do like where this ended up. I'm a little paranoid about picking up the next book because I do like how this one ended and where it went, but I'm probably going to be reading it. I also picked up Forever Odd by Dean Koontz. This is the second book in the Odd Thomas series. This book takes off where the last book left off, so Odd is dealing with some things, but then one of his childhood friends goes missing and he's on the case. This story just follows Odd as he's dealing with a lot of mental things, trying to figure out his life, and at the same time, of course, trying to find his best friend. I really do like the character of Odd. I'm most likely going to be continuing on with this series. You will see more of the Odd Thomas books showing up because it's gonna be a thing. Bright Smoke, Cold Fire by Rosamund Hodge was a Romeo and Juliet retelling that I didn't know I needed in my life, but it did. Rosamund Hodge has a way of building worlds that are absolutely magical. She sets Romeo and Juliet in a zombie type apocalyptic world that doesn't mimic our world at all. So it's fantasy, sci-fi, retelling, mixed thing. I don't know how to explain Rosamund Hodge. She is just so out there and I love it so much. I can't even explain the plot of this story, mainly because it would give a lot away. But you have Romeo and Juliet set in a world that is dealing with a lot of death magic. It has a lot of death lore and people trying to survive death. So you have necromancy and Romeo and Juliet built up into this ecosystem that is just downright frightening. And of course, this is only book 1. All I'm gonna say is I need book 2 now. And of course, our Tell It Again book club book pick for the month was Brightly Burning by Alexa Donne. We had a whole live show about that, so if you want some of my in-depth thoughts, I will shoot you that direction. But this is a Jane Eyre retelling in space. It centers around a girl named Stella who goes off to nanny a young girl on a spacecraft. And of course, all of the Jane Eyre things fall out. I did like seeing the attempt that Donne did with this retelling. I wasn't overall satisfied with it, mainly because I lost a lot of my gothic feel of Jane Eyre. I understand why some of it had to happen because it is YA and it's set in space, but there were just a few things that just ticked some things for me. Overall, it was a quick, enjoyable read, but I can't say it's my favorite Jane Eyre retelling. I finally picked up An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, and I am so glad that I did. I have a full review over this book in case you are interested. However, I have to say here that I absolutely loved this book. Maybe it's because I related to this book too much that I can't pull myself away from that. This is the story of April May, which A is the first hook for my face, who is a graphic designer, second hook for my face, who suddenly becomes internet famous. There is a giant robot that she and her friend decide to film one day, and then all heck breaks loose because nobody knows what this giant robot is, how it got there, why it's there. And it's just the story of April as she's figuring out her life, her relationships, while at the same time dealing with everything that this Carl, which is what she decided to name the robot, is. And it's amazing. I am very much hoping that this is not the only book that Hank Green is going to come out with. It looks like on Goodreads that there is a second book. I don't know if that's true or not, but part of me hopes that it is. And last but not least, I picked up The Winter of the Witch by Katherine Arden. Once again, I have a review over this book, but the conclusion of the Winter Night series, the conclusion of Vash's story as she's dealing with everything in the human world and everything in the magic world, trying to find herself, dealing with family, Russian folklore mixed in that just creates havoc. I love it so much. If you have not picked up the Winter Night series, do it. Just do it. So those are all of the books that I read in the last half of January, which means February has now commenced. I'm super excited to see what February brings. Tell me down below what your favorite thing to do to keep warm is, because it's stinking cold right now and I don't like it. The whole polar vortex thing needs to stop, because no. I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.